What's up, you guys? Welcome to Walk the Line. Obviously, there hasn't been a lot of fight action to talk about. We're in the middle of our off season, but I got a great video lined up for you guys. I'm going to give you guys some tricks and tips that I've learned really for over a decade doing this, for well over a decade. But we'll talk about some things that we've learned over the past year. We're always trying to pick up new knowledge that we could use to benefit ourselves, to help ourselves profit year to year. We had another great year for 2024. I'm going to share some of the tactics that I use when I'm betting on MMA, when I'm betting on sports in general, but specific to MMA, tips and tricks that I use that help me stay in the green. Okay, I want to share them with you guys. I think they'll really help you guys out. If you guys haven't caught my MMA awards video, I posted that here the other day. We broke down our fighter of the year, KO of the year, fight of the year, submission of the year, and all that. So hopefully you guys caught that. And this is just some more content coming your guys' way. Don't forget, though, January 18th, we got a huge event, UFC 311. And we won't just overlook the first card of the year, because although it's not as stacked of a card, the fact that we're going into that event off a 4-week hiatus, we're going to be very pumped for that main event there between Mackenzie Dern and Amanda Ribas, which is a rematch. And we'll be pumped for that whole overall card. So I will have that video up here on the channel early next week. Okay. So I'm filming this right after Christmas. We're easing into New Year's Eve, and I hope you guys all have some huge plans lined up. I appreciate you guys so much for coming in and hanging out with me. And I'm here on the mic, and we're going to jump right into it. If you can, though, real quick, like this video, subscribe to the channel. If you're new, catch me on all my social media. It's scrolling below. And if anyone is looking to join a new sports book, BetUS is the sports book that you want to use, okay? Reach out to me. I'll give you my referral link. You sign up through that referral link, you're going to get a 150% deposit match on your first 3 deposits, okay? So you get a lot of value there. If you sign up, I will also give you guys an additional gift as always. And don't hesitate to reach out to me. All right, guys, let's go jump into some tips and tricks that you need to start using so you could be in the green for this upcoming year. All right, specifically for you guys that got destroyed throughout the year, okay? If your pockets are hurt right now, listen to what I'm about to tell you guys.
The teller.
So the first thing that you need to stop doing is you need to stop these massive parlays throughout a fight card, okay? You need to quit the 5-team, 6, 7, 8-team parlays. And for those of you guys that are parlaying the entire card, okay, you're wasting your money. You're completely wasting your money. Now, if you don't mind losing money, I mean, if you're that wealthy, if you're that rich, and you don't really care if you're losing money like that, then I guess maybe this video isn't for you, and just ignore what I'm talking about. But for those of you guys who it matters to, okay, when you're losing money and you're feeling sick to your stomach the next day, and you enjoy betting on MMA, and you want to continue to do it, but you're in a position where you can't if you keep going the route you're going, just stop parlaying. First off, the entire card. Don't ever do that. Don't do it. I don't care. I don't care if you're throwing $1 on it, $2 on it. You're better off taking that money and wiping your butt with it. Okay, at least you get a little bit more value there. You saved a little bit of toilet paper, maybe even like the way it feels. But stop with the massive parlays. And I highly advise you guys to even cut out the 4-team parlays, even the 3-team parlays, man. I'm encouraging you guys to stay away from the 3-team parlays. If you want to parlay, there's a method that I've been using for quite some time, and I found it to be very profitable for me. If you do it the right way, I stick to 2-team parlays at most. And there's a certain tactic that I do with my 2-team parlays, okay? I recommend that when you're doing your parlays, you stick to, and I don't just say this blindly, like, oh, stick to bigger favorites, bet the bigger, parlay the bigger favorites. No, you got to get favorites where there's still some value next to their line. Okay, excuse me, where there's some value next to their name with the line. Okay, a minus 500 on one fighter is different than a minus 500 on another fighter. We talk about this in our full fight card videos. Okay, some of these fighters are a minus 500, but they really shouldn't be. But when you find a fighter that really should be, in fact, he may even he possibly should be a minus 700, 800. Okay, you take that fighter, put him with another one. You're in a position where you're very likely to cash in on a little parlay there. You get the line to come down, you get decent value there, and you could do that. And it's fun to do that at times because you're in a position where you get to sit back and relax and kind of watch the dominant fighter go out there and do what he should do. That's what I like to do. But you start just blindly parlaying all the favorites together, there's going to be that one dog that comes through and spoils the party for you. And I want to reiterate, A minus 500 on one fighter is not the same as a minus 500 on another fighter. So you still need to be doing your due diligence and your research, making sure there's value on the line. Analyze every line differently. You got to dive into the tape. Join me for my full card prediction videos, and we talk about where these lines should be. Put that value together. Stick to a 2-team parlay. If you guys really like to do parlays, stick to a 2-teamer at the very most. If you're a degenerate, you need a little bit more bang for your buck. You want to see that bigger prize waiting at the end of the tunnel. Do a 3-team parlay and stick to more dominant fighters that are more likely to win. Don't parlay 2 fighters that they're in fights that could really go either way. When you're in that position, if you want to bet those fights, stick to straight bets, okay? If you got like a minus 140 type of line on a fighter, you like this one fighter here, just bet him straight up. You're going to get a decent return anyway. So just cough up a little bit more money. Don't put yourself in a position where you need this, and this to happen to finally get that prize at the end of the tunnel. Don't do that. Chill with the parlays. I'm telling you, it will help you at the end of the year, okay? If you don't take my advice there and you're throwing out these huge parlays, I guarantee you, if you keep track of what you're doing throughout the year, it will cost you. Now, my second recommendation for you guys, which you need to start doing this year, which maybe some of you guys weren't doing in the past, if you have a little bit of a slow start to a fight card, right? You start losing some fights early on, you get a little desperate, and you want to chase that money, you want to get back to even. This way you could start to work your way into the green. You have to stick with your homework, okay? When you already broke down a whole fight card, or if you guys were in agreement with me as we worked through an entire card and we talked about where the value was for each fight, don't look away from your homework. Don't say, okay, you know what? I really need a win here, so I'm just going to target the favorite. When we actually were talking about how the value was definitely on a dog, okay? And there was no value on that one favorite. Don't get desperate and just start throwing your money at favorites, expecting that you're going to get back to even and you're going to get back in the green, because what will end up happening is, for the most part, you'll still end up losing those fights. And even if you win a little one or 2 of those fights, you're not really winning much. And then that one other fight's going to cost you, and you still really weren't productive. Okay. So you need to stick to your script, stick to where you find stick to the value. Okay. If you really are chasing to get back to even and you're chasing to get back to the green, sit back, relax, maybe skip a fight or 2 if there's just a fight that's just not worth betting on, or put something real small on it, and then stick to your homework. Whereas if the value was on that dog that was an upcoming fight, even if you're a little bit down, stick to the script, put a little bit of money on that dog. Okay, you don't have to risk as much, and you're putting yourself in a better position to profit overall on the card and overall long term. Okay, don't get reckless, don't get desperate. And if you think that you're going to chase favorites throughout a fight card, if you think that's just going to heal everything and put a Band-Aid on the losses you took earlier, long term, it's going to cost you more. Now, my number 3 tip for you correlates a little bit to the last one. In some cases, some of you guys need to learn how to shut it down. All right. If you had at a fight card just start off and really not go your way, as I was saying earlier, don't just start chasing those favorites. But in some cases, you guys need to learn how to shut it down. Okay. It's not that hard. I don't want to hear about how, oh, it's easier said than done. You know, I was having a couple of drinks and I just couldn't do it. I don't play that. Okay, guys, you need to shut it down. All right. You need to. And this is specifically goes for you guys that are brutally hurting your pockets and just you're losing money that's a necessity to you guys. Okay. We're talking about money that was lined up to pay your mortgage, your rent, your food. Okay. If you're in that type of position, shut it down. And there's no excuses to be made. Point blank. That's it. Okay. And the types of scenarios where you're going to need to shut it down is where you start off 0 for 2, 0 for 3. And those 3 fights were your main targets. Those were the targets that you had penciled in for that card. Now, let's just say, hypothetically, there were still 3 or 4 fights that were set to take place. You're cruising into the main card, but you didn't have any real targets. Don't just think that you're going to hammer one of the fighters in the main event. And even though you're not really sure how that fight's going to go, it's a close fight. You don't really see any value on either line. It's one of those ones that you kind of want to stay away from. Don't just all of a sudden hammer one of those lines and think that everything's going to get better. Because what will end up happening in some cases is you're going to lose that and you're going to feel like crap the next day. Okay. And that's something that we really got to talk about here for a second. For those of you guys that are just losing an extreme amount of action in one night and you're waking up the next day and you're feeling horrible about it, you can't put yourself in that position. Okay. You have to have a set number of money that you're willing to lose on one card where you could wake up the next day, you might not be happy about it, but you can go back to the drawing board and you could find some better value spots, some safer targets the next weekend. We got UFC action taking place just about every weekend. Be patient. Okay, be patient. What a lot of you guys don't realize is, or you do realize, but sometimes you just get caught up in it, is that when you take some losses and in that little in that time frame that it happens, you feel sick to your stomach and you feel like you have to rebound immediately. Whereas if you just go take a little walk around the block, if you go over, hit the grill up, throw some burgers on or whatever, get your mind off it for a second, okay? If you can just push through that, it'll be fine and you'll quickly forget about it and then you go back to the drawing board. Think about how you feel right now about some of the worst losses that you've taken. Granted, it's a more extended period of time apart and, the time heals everything, but you'll feel pretty good about it even the following day. Or if you give it 2 days, you'll be fine going into the next week. And think about it like this. Sometimes, let's say you have $1,000 account, you get down to $600-700, you're kind of sick to your stomach, depending on what bankroll you're working with. It could be $100,000, budget bankroll that you're working with, whatever your number is. But just using these numbers to kind of set the pace here. You have $1,000, you get down to $500-600, you're sick to your stomach, you lost almost half of it. Now, when you're at that point, when you chase and then you blow everything, think about how you would feel if you were magically granted or somehow magically given some type of bonus from your sports betting account or however, if you were just given that $500-600 for the following weekend. You would be very happy. You'd feel great about having that money and you would say, hey, you know what? I could build this bankroll right back up to that 1K. You have to have that mindset consistently. Don't just rush things. Sit back, understand that you could plot and plan to get your bankroll back up to where you need it, to get back where you started, and then you could start over to get back in the green. Okay? If you just think you're going to do everything immediately all the time, you're going to be living in hell as a sports bettor. So that's what's going to happen to you guys. You need to ground yourself. You need to be mature. As a man, you need to understand what's going on here because I don't want to see any of you guys in those types of situations. It's depressing. Okay. I've been in those situations a lot when I was younger. I'm not trying to brag or to big time anyone that's listening to this, but like throughout the years, I feel like I've learned so much from betting on sports. I've been doing this for a very long time. I've been betting on sports back, and I mean this seriously. I've been betting on sports back all the way to 2005, 2006, even specifically on MMA, not just betting on football when I was even a young kid, $5-10. I mean, I've been at the bar betting on UFC fights, okay? Betting on fights like Tito Ortiz versus Ken Shamrock. I mean, I was at the bar, swapping cash back when I was just a youngster, man. Okay, so luckily, maybe not unluckily, but I was just kind of involved in those types of situations, having an older brother and hanging around with older people and just kind of growing up in that family type of environment where sports betting and sports gambling was kind of involved in my family. But I've learned a lot throughout the years, and you guys got to get yourself to a position where you feel comfortable and you're at a position where you know what you're doing and you're not putting yourself in these vulnerable positions. Some of you guys that are listening to this, I'm sure, are youngsters that are just starting to dabble and get involved in betting on sports, especially as this industry booms and gets bigger and bigger. So I understand that, I'm sitting back and I was going over my notes and I was thinking that. I'm like, I know that there's youngsters out here that are just learning the ropes. And if this video can help you guys, I really hope so, because it does not feel good, man. When you're down in the dumps and you're digging your own ditch, it's tough, man. So you got to make the right moves and it's all on you. You are responsible and you are in charge. You're in control. You're the man behind the wheel. Okay. So it's up to you. Don't expect other people to do it for you, or don't expect these fights to play out magically in your favor, because they go how they're going to go. Okay. So if, in that case, do your research, dive into these fights, break down the tape, break down the action, get your edge there, however you need to do it. Even if you're kind of relying on somebody else, like myself at times. I mean, I spent a lot of time digging for my edge with these fights, dissecting these betting lines. So you need to get your edge there. I mean, that's really just a very truthful statement. You'll hear big time sports handicappers talk about, you got to have an edge. If you don't have an edge and you're just blind out there, you're going to lose. All right, guys, that's going to wrap this one up. Hopefully I wasn't too long-winded. I like this video. I feel like I was talking to you guys more in the sense of just a friend to a friend, kind of just flowing on the mic, maybe talking more like myself and in a personal manner. Sometimes when I'm breaking down fights and doing my other videos, I kind of dive into the analytical talk and I try to be a little bit more professional with what I deliver here. But I like this one. This one was more just me talking to a friend and trying to help a friend out here from just some of the knowledge I've learned. And I'm not perfect, and I haven't got this whole thing figured out just yet. I don't know if we ever will get the whole sports betting thing and betting on MMA completely figured out. It's a tough thing to do, but we will find our edges, and we will do just about better than anybody out there. That's one thing I will say. I don't like to gloat, but I've really produced year to year, specifically over the last 4 or 5 years. And I think that does have something to do with some of the knowledge that I have obtained throughout the years. And I don't know, maybe I'm just getting lucky year to year, but we've been killing it the last 4 or 5 years. So I'll take it. All right, guys, leave you with that. I'm wishing you guys all a great New Year's. If you're catching this before New Year's Eve, set up some big plans, enjoy your life. All right. Enjoy having another healthy, or just even if it wasn't the most healthy, just another year here on this planet, spinning around in outer space. Just enjoy that you're here, and whatever manner, put a smile on your face, however you have to do it. Set up some plans. If you're catching this after New Year's Eve, I hope you had a great one. Okay. I hope 2025 is another splendid year for you guys. I wish nothing but the best for all you guys. All you guys that tune into my show here, you guys know I have so much love for you. So I hope that you guys are just enjoying yourselves, and I really hope you guys are happy and healthy. All right, I'll leave you with that. Signing out. Teller.
The teller.